Jordan Peterson. Basically, I'm going to watch it, and where I find interesting things, I'm going to stop it and point it out.
But does it bother you that your audience is predominantly male? Isn't that a bit divisive?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's no more divisive than the fact that YouTube is primarily male and Tumblr is primarily
that's pretty divisive,
female.
isn't it?
Tumblr is primarily female.
But you're just saying that's the way it is.
Well, I'm not saying anything. It's just an observation that that's the way it is. There's plenty of women that are watching my lectures and coming to my talks and buying my books. It's just that the majority of them happen to be men.
What's in it for the women, though?
Well, what sort of partner do you want? Do you want an overgrown child? Or do you want someone to contend with that's going to help you and that
So
you
you're
can
saying
rely on?
women have some sort of duty to sort of help fix the crisis of masculinity?
It depends on what they want. No, I mean, it's exactly how I laid it out. Like, women deeply want men who are competent and powerful. And I don't mean power in that they can exert tyrannical control over others. That's not power. That's just corruption. Power is competence. And why in the world would you not want a competent partner? Well, I know why, actually. You can't dominate a competent partner. So if you want
women
domination,
want to dominate, is that what you're saying?
no, I'd say women who have had their relationships their relationships with men impaired, and who are afraid of such relationships will settle for a weak partner because they can dominate them. But it's a suboptimal solution.
I'm starting to notice that this should be a good lesson for everyone. He's in a debate, and he is not speaking quickly. He's not speaking eloquently. He's stuttering. He's doing a whole lot of digging and thinking, yet he's staying calm. And I'll cut it, but you'll see her ask questions, and she's actually being a very good host, at least for the beginning part of this. She's not cutting him off. She's asking quick questions, but she's not over talking him. She's not yelling over him. So we have at this point, a mutually respectful debate.
If you are interested in learning more about the techniques Mandy uses to analyse body language and deception, there is now a video course along with the practice videos available on her website for Gold subscribers. There's also other content such as the Crime series, an Interesting Mind series, and monthly podcasts available to both Gold and Silver subscribers. Without further ado, back to the video.
Do you agree that you would be happy if that pay gap was eliminated completely? Because that's all the radical feminists are saying.
It would depend on how it was eradicated and how the disappearance of it was measured.
And you're saying if it's at the cost of men, that's a problem?
Oh, there's all sorts of things that it could be at the cost of. It could even be at the cost of women's own interests. So,
because they might not be happy if they get equal pay.
No, because it might interfere with other things that are causing the pay gap that women are choosing to do.
Like having children.
Well, or choosing careers that actually happen to be paid less, which women do a lot of.
But why shouldn't women have the right to choose not to have children, or the right to choose those demanding careers?
They do. They can. Yeah, that's fine.
But you're saying that makes them unhappy, by and large.
I'm saying that no, I'm not saying that. I actually haven't said that so far.
You're saying it makes them miserable.
No, I said that what was making them miserable was having weak partners. That makes them miserable.
Right.
I would say that many women around the age of, I would say between 28 and 32, have a career family crisis that they have to deal with. And I think that's partly because of the foreshortened time frame that women have to contend with. Like, women have to get the major pieces of their life put together faster than men, which is also partly why men aren't under so much pressure to grow up. So because for the typical woman, she has to have her career and family in order pretty much by the time she's 35, because otherwise the options start to run out. And so that puts a tremendous amount of stress on women, especially at the end of their 20s.
I think I take issue with the idea of the typical woman, because, all women are different. And that's what I want to just put another quote to you from the book.
Well, they're different in some ways and the same in others.
Okay, you say women become more vulnerable when they have children.
Oh, yes.
And you talked in one of your YouTube interviews about crazy harpy sisters. So, simple question. Is gender equality a myth in your view? Is that something that's just never going to happen?
It depends on what you mean by equality. No,
Being
if you
treated
mean
fairly,
men and women,
getting the same opportunities?
fairly, people
She asked a question. You see that pause there? He's thinking it through. That's what I've seen a lot with Jordan Peterson. He thinks out. Now, what it does for her is she's watching him and she sees him. His eyes go back in. They're doing a big deep. He leans back, takes in a breath, and she's watching him actually think out an answer. So her reaction, because he's willing to sit there and actually listen to her question and give a thoughtful answer, is to be respectful and listen. Many, many times I've sat here and said that it takes two to tango. If you're going to be a screamer and not think and just yell out your talking points, the person that you're talking to is going to respond in kind. And here we see a respectable debate between two people. And it's going so well, and she respects him so well that she doesn't act like a harpy. And he doesn't act like a douche.
Let me move on to another debate that's been very controversial for you. And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
No,
I want to
that's
ask-
not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
Not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Why
Well,
should
that's
your...
what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm
you get
very
my
glad that
point.
I have
No, but you get
exercised my
my
freedom of
point.
speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on.
So
And
do
that is
you-
what you should do. But
And
you're
you
exercising
think-
your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
So you haven't sat there and... I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work
about
that through in
time.
my head. Yeah, it took a while.
It did.
He just complimented her, and she really doesn't know how to respond. As I've said before, it's actually a pretty good debate between two people who are respecting each other. And yeah, you can hate on her for coming one way, but she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. And he's being very relaxed about it. He's taking it in. He's laying back in the chair. He's got his hands clasped in his lap. This is what I wish more people would do. Instead of arguing and quote unquote debating, that they would actually have a conversation. Now, he's more having a conversation than she is, but she is a reporter, so she's doing an interview.
You have voluntarily come into the studio and agreed to be questioned.
Mm-hmm.
A trans person in your class has come to your class and said they want to be called
And that's never
she.
happened. And I would call them she.
So you would. So you've kind of changed your tune on that.
No, I said that right from the beginning. What I said at the beginning was that I was not going to cede the linguistic territory to radical leftists, regardless of whether or not it was put in law. That's what I said. And then the people who came after me said, oh, you must be transphobic and you mistreat a student in your class. It's like, I never mistreated a student in my class. I'm not transphobic, and that isn't what I said.
Well, except you've also called trans campaigners authoritarian, haven't you? I mean, isn't that
Well,
grossly
only in the
insensitive?
broader context of my claims that radical leftist ideologues are authoritarian,
Yes,
which
but
they are.
You're saying someone who's trying to work out their gender identity, who may well have struggled with that, had quite a
No
tough
doubt
time
have
over the
struggled
years.
with it, yeah.
You're comparing them with, Chairman Mao, who
No, just the
saw the
activists.
deaths of millions of people. Well,
Just the
even if the
activists.
activists, they're trans people too. They have a right to say these things.
Yeah, but they don't have a
Isn't it
right to
grossly
speak for their whole
insensitive
community.
to compare them to Chairman Mao or, Pinochet, Augusto Pinochet. I mean, this is grossly insensitive. Isn't
I
it?
didn't compare them to Pinochet.
Well,
I did compare
he's an
them to
he
Mao.
was an authoritarian.
He's a
wasn't he?
right-winger, though. I was comparing them to the left-wing totalitarians. And
Okay,
I do believe they
Mao-
are left-wing
Mao-
totalitarians.
Under Mao, millions of people died. I
Right.
mean, there's no comparison between
That's-
Mao and a trans activist, is there?
Why not?
Because trans activists aren't killing millions of people?
The philosophy that's guiding their utterances is the same philosophy.
The consequences are...
Not yet.
You're saying that trans activists
No.
could lead to the deaths of millions of people? What
No,
they're
I'm
doing-
saying that the philosophy that drives their utterances is the same philosophy that already has driven us to the deaths of millions of people.
Okay, tell us how that philosophy is in any way comparable.
Sure, that's no problem. The first thing is that the philosophy presumes that group identity is paramount. That's the fundamental philosophy that drove the Soviet Union and Maoist China. And it's the fundamental philosophy of the left-wing activists. It's identity politics. It doesn't matter who you are as an individual. It matters who you are in terms of your group identity.
He's doing something. He's been doing it through the whole thing, but I finally got a really good one. Watch his mouth.
The philosophy that's guiding their utterances is the same philosophy.
He closes it and then he gives it a quick tight close on it. Again, it's showing his control, that he's not trying to argue. He's trying to have a conversation. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. There's more I could say and just be a douche. But no, I'm just going to make this point, shut my mouth and let her respond, hear how she's taking the information in, and then if I need to, help her to understand more of where I'm coming from or realize it's a lost cause. And he did this throughout the entire thing. This was a really good debate. I've been really wanting the right and the left to get together and have a conversation so I could see how it goes. One, it helps me to see where the mental illness is and where it isn't. But here we don't actually see mental illness. We see Mr. Peterson with more patience and understanding to have a conversation. And we see the woman, whom I do not know her name, more emotional and confrontational in her belief. That's not a mental illness. That's just her personality. This was a really good debate. I could go on and on with this, but I don't think you want to sit there and listen to an hour about it. This was really good. If you liked it, leave a like.
If you like the content, please subscribe using this link via specific feeds. You'll be sent notifications to the full-length videos and won't mysteriously be unsubscribed either. If you select single email, the notification will get to you much quicker. However, if you select newspaper, the notifications are sent out the same time every day, which is around 7 AM American time. And you'll be sent a link to watch the full version of these videos and ones that can't make it to YouTube for free.
If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.